Hello, min-maxing tubers, and welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy Renaissance with me, BlueAnkylo. I got a couple level ups, trying to get ores, actually. So I'm specifically getting enough fire ore, wind, bolt, ice, just to make sure I could craft stuff. And that, of course, got me a couple levels. I was fighting blue dragons and stuff like that. And we are actually at the point where we're absolutely way too strong. 120% hit is when it gets really out of control. And yeah, the Paladin just at level 29 with the Excal is there. You can see some stats. And the Samurai is about the same. They're very equivalent in terms of damage output. This guy relies on crits a little bit more. This guy relies on enemies being weak to Excalibur a little bit more. Either way, they crush everything. So that's pretty cool. In terms of just regular stats, the Red Mage also recently got their 4th attack, I think. That helps. They honestly do good damage. There's nothing wrong with them at all. And Edgar, if we get a few more levels, could also get a 4th attack. Not like it matters at this point. So, what has happened? Well, first off, weapons. Obviously, we're still using Excal. I still have the defense sword for Ruse access, although I could have moved it to anything, I suppose. But, you know, Ruse is good. Also, Saber is good. So I put those two up top for now. I could move them around, but the Samurai kind of likes having weapon skill weapons more than spellcasting weapons, in my opinion. At least, well, not that I use the weapon skills, but, you know, in theory, that's the theory. Also, being able to change to different elements mid-combat is maybe something that could be useful, theoretically, at least. And I made a heal sword. Because it's a fighter, you gotta have swords. Didn't change much. I did put the fire ore into the katana for more base damage, which is one of the reasons the samurai is even crazier. But I feel like it's easy. If I change my mind, I can overwrite it with something else without feeling guilty. And technically, lore reasons, the weapon skill, I'm not going to try to say that, cherry Justin, it is fire damage, so fire ore seems thematic appropriate. I decided the Red Mage would get a bunch of staves, and they'd have all the 3 elementals, including the power staff, finally is useful, because it does something. It casts Ice 2 now, the best of the spells I could give it, basically. So I thought that was kind of fun. Still equipping the enhancement sword, but yeah, we've got all 3 elemental spells for free if I care. Not that those are the best, it's just, you know, easy. And then I made an iron hammer for lightning too, because it's kind of like a discount Thor's hammer. We destroyed the Thor's hammer, and then I rebuilt it worse. But it's fine. And then we want to equip this anyway. I also made a short bow. Because it's short, it's hard to see, so you become invisible. Yeah, I don't know. I was trying to find a way of remembering which item had which spell on it, and it didn't work very well. So that's all the weapon changes. And then armor changes. I did actually buy a Genji equipment. So I tried to min-max the best I could. I've got 3 ribbons, which means 3 people have all statuses, protections, all elemental protections. And 1 person does not. And it is usually the fighter with the dragon armor that doesn't need it. Although anyone who can equip the dragon armor could get that benefit. But 3-slot armor with max absorb is actually still the best. Nothing actually competes with that. Although the opal armor is not bad at all. So I kept that the same. I kept the Aegis shield the same. It's also top tier. Both of these haven't changed. They're still the top tier armor. For anybody that doesn't have a ribbon, especially. But even if you had a ribbon, 3 slots and 2 slots is really good, and the base stats are really solid. So what did that leave? Well, death protection is very important. Time protection, I'm not sure that's too important. I could just give him some absorb or M defense, or a spell. But hey, I have a time crystal, I might as well put it somewhere, and everyone else gets it for free on the ribbon, technically. And then I also gave them the earth crystal, which is another... Technically, Chaos can cast Crack. If we fight a Sandworm, it can Crack. I'm not sure there's anything else in the game that can use Earth Elemental on you, but hey, there's a couple. And technically, I could have added Wind or Water, and have another one. Even something the ribbons apparently don't protect against, interestingly enough. However, or holy even. I could have holy protection, wind protection, or water protection for that final slot. I decided none of that mattered, and I just gave him 4 more absorb, because he is the front row. Technically, 74 absorb. It could be higher. You know, if you threw on a ribbon, well, yeah, because I could put 3 absorbs, that'd be 12. 2 more would be 20. 2 more would be 28. So I would lose 9 absorb and gain 28 more. So that'd be like, whatever, I'm probably doing the math too quickly, but nearly 20 more absorb with a ribbon. So we could get almost to 100 and still have a ribbon. That's kind of insane. Pretty sweet, but it's fine, like, not a big deal. So pretty happy with Paladin's setup. Other people, obviously the ribbon covers all the resistances, so then I just put magic defense, basically, except for the Genji glove. Now, in theory, this might be the best Genji armor, maybe? I think it means the samurai takes more damage as well as dishes out more damage, but we'll test it out. I just crafted it, so I haven't used it yet, or I just bought it. I technically forged it last episode. I kind of wish it had at least 1 slot to put an ore into or something, but, you know, whatever. And then I just gave him some magic defense, because the fighter gets 3 M defense per level. Everybody else basically gets 2. So he was at like 70. I'm like, you know what? Even though the ribbon gives you resistances, you still have a roll at half damage. And the higher your base M defense, the more likely to take the half damage as well as the half damage for resisting it, and then the half of the half for also saving, basically getting your saving throw or passing a check. It's pretty easy to get those if you've got the resistance from ribbon anyway, but good M defense just helps make it more likely, and technically nuke and nuclear are not affected by the ribbon. It's only your M defense giving you half damage, if you're lucky. So, you know, it is still of value of some amount. And I think in the base game, I'm not sure if it was patched. I think it was patched. The status touch attacks used to kind of bypass resistances. It was just purely your M defense protecting you from on-hit status effects, I think. I'm not 100% sure how it all worked. It was kind of bugged. So in theory, M defense is still maybe valuable until you get to 100, even for that. But, you know, whatever. Anyway, to wrap that up, it's basically the same thing on everybody else. I just gave them the best equipment I could find, which is often mithril just because it has more slots. And Opal Bracelet obviously is very good, and a ribbon. I think if I had another Protect Cape, I would put it here. Actually, slight optimization here. Because it turns out the engineer can equip the steel armor. I don't think they could pre-promote, but I was trying to figure out some armor for them, because the mithril armor is a bit weak. And I can't make another Opal Bracelet, and I could have gone Genji Bracelet or something, but that lowers their damage. And I was like, ugh, like, what can I do for this guy? Turns out they can use steel armor. Basically, no one can use steel armor normally. Like, practically speaking, it's garbage. It does have very bad evade, but it has 2 slots, and it has the same armor as flame armor and Opal Bracelets in that tier. So, hey, that got our red mage to 49 and our engineer to 43, although I could move the Protect Cape around. Technically, the Protect Cape is better than a boots, but I only have 1 for now. Other than that, because of the ribbon, we just went M defense. So that's an extra 6 slots of M defense, which is 6 times 3 is 18. So we're into the 90s for M defense, approximately. And that's decent. Now, I'm also here because I want to show off the last couple crafts. In case you're curious, the last bow that I had to farm the bolt ore for is a killer bow. It is a lot of crit. I still think it's going to be bad because it's a bow. And the samurai can't use it anyway. And I think that was the only thing that was missing last time. I still, you know, can't make the cool katana. You'll need an Onyx Greatsword. I did look that up. You can buy them in Gaia, but you need to have a Dark Knight, so of course. And then, unfortunately, there's no way I can find to get an Iron Nunchucks, so I can't actually make my very likely sword chucks. And that's it. I think that's all the gear. So I don't actually think... Like, some of the weapons are maybe worth it, or at least worth testing out on different groups. Doom, I don't think is a very good spell, so I don't care about that. The Genji armor very much kind of let me down. We'll see. Like, I'm going to try out the couple I bought, but overall, I thought it would be better. I thought the base stats would be a little stronger. And the mithril equipment is, you know, mithril. If the sword chucks could just use a mithril nunchuck, I guess that would get around the weird purchase requirement. Same thing with the great sword. That way we could just craft it all. Anyway, that's fine, I think. So, yes. Nothing else to talk about crafting-wise. I think that's it. We're done. I do have some leftover... I have tons of leftover stuff. Crystals. Ended up with lots of fire, ice, and lightning crystals the way it all worked out. So I could give more resistances or elemental weapons of varying forms. Death. I mean, death is basically infinite. But, you know, water, wind, there's that holy. If you wanted to, you could have holy and more wind. So that's cool. There's a reasonably good accessibility to these. I could handle getting a few earlier, maybe. But overall, cool. There should be a status crystal, by the way. I don't know why. Seems like everyone wants you to get stun touched and stun locked all the time. Why is there no status protection? It's not that big a deal. The ribbons are the only thing. And then, of course, there's the anti-enemy type things, which are honestly a little bit too niche. I think they should maybe be either a free slot on your weapon that doesn't cost an equipment, so you can always have one, or maybe you could combine them or something so you can get 2 or 3 for one. Because individually, I think they're almost always worse than just like, was it like 3 damage or 5 hit rate or crit rate? I actually think these are almost always worse. They're too niche. I mean, it's a little bit better on the samurai because you can switch weapons, but even then, it's mostly bad. It's just, yes, there are dragons, and it is nice to do bonus damage against dragons. But if you could give it like Beast, Dragon, Caster, 2 or 3, then that might be worth 1 slot on a weapon. And a lot of weapons only have 1 slot, so that's kind of what you're dealing with most of the time. Anyway, that's kind of my thinking for those. It's a little bit too weak. And then the spellcasting ones are fine. Like, that's really cool, moving those around. I have no problem with that. Okay, let's get to work. So, what else did I learn in between episodes? I switched to the medic crossbow. Oh, I did look up a little bit of secrets to how the master hammer works. If the guide I was looking at is correct, it's still a pretty new patch. Assumedly, this hammer gives you 50% bonus strength, like damage, or power for a spell, and I think it doubles the accuracy as well, or something like that. So, and it also, like, it changes a few things besides that. So, in theory, the medic crossbow will be doing 50% more, and then multiplied by our intelligence. So I think it's closer to the heal 2 spell after you've got the master hammer, which is maybe better than the bows. We know the blink bulb, instead of doing 1 shadow, we get 2, which is nice. I think this is now a 90 base 90 base power water spell with like better than normal accuracy, so the enemies take the half damage less often. So 90 to 180 plus your intelligence, and only halved occasionally. And if they're weak to water, even better. So I think that is a point in favor of it. I think the weakness cannons are not very good. I think Overload, I want to show it off, but I think it's pretty bad, actually. I was thinking about how that actually works. Just losing your own turn sucks. But the other drills aren't all that good either. But again, with the Master Hammer, the damage will be 50% higher, and the hit rate will be some amount higher. So in theory, they're, you know, a little bit buffed. Although I don't know if Overload gets anything from the hammer. And then finally, I mean, Nose Blaster should just be more accurate. Non-elemental confusion with extra accuracy seems to hit a lot. It's pretty solid. And similarly, the Buzzsaw does more damage and more accuracy. I think you can even haste it to get 8. I have to double check that. It's pretty good. I think I'm going to talk a little bit at the end, once I finish the game, about my overall opinion on all these tools as I get a little bit close to the end. But for now, we've got some final unlocks to unlock. Oh, and in case you're wondering, I did buy the last Red Mage spells. So, by the way, we're very crazy overpowered now. It's very hard to evaluate new skills when your basic strength from attacking is so crazy high. Oh, actually, I did that wrong. I'm doing a hard reset right in front of Mirage to kind of guarantee we get a WarMech before too long. I almost put the Genji boots on Oron because it would make running away a little for 1,000 damage. I didn't give him like anti-mecha or lightning element or anything. He's just good. Yeah, how do you evaluate skills when your regular attack is 1,000 damage? It's kind of overpowered. I still don't love that we have to continue crafting our tools. That's definitely the worst part of Machinist Engineer, I think, is the fact you have to recraft everything. That's definitely the dumbest part. I'm saying dumb. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. The developer obviously put a ton of energy and time into this. I just don't really see the value in manually crafting every time you want to use it. You know, I have effectively infinite uses because the materials to craft aren't very expensive or hard to get. So in practice, it doesn't really matter if it was infinite use. It's just extra steps, you know. I just have to spend time clicking buttons. I did get a small spoiler. I need to talk to all the robots with the engineer, and I forgot about that. It kind of makes sense. Yeah. I might have missed it entirely, actually. It also, technically, I've never used my limit. Because limits. If we fight a WarMech, you know what I'm doing, but... well, we're gonna fight one eventually. If it doesn't die immediately, that's what we're gonna do. Yeah, there's a couple robots to talk to. Okay, I don't know if it's this. It's probably not this robot, is it? Oh yeah, I saw him die. Wow. Oh, I have to show you that. I know what this is referencing. I found this off camera when I was just looking for stuff. There's a gravestone to check out. That's cool. I do like the little Easter eggs just snuck in and around the game. So the Katana Samurai does seem to be dealing out generally better damage. Now that's two-handed instead of a shield. So we gave up some absorb for sure. But it's those crits. It's just the crits. Our base damage is only a little bit higher, and the effective damage from the Excalibur will bump the fighter a little bit higher than that, technically. They're not... No one can die here, right? We just got paralyzed through 2 ribbons, by the way. By the way. No, trance is non-elemental. It's just stupid like that. That's, okay, that is one of the things where having water or for magic defense would definitely be useful. No doubt. Yeah, the crit rate on the Katana definitely helping us out. Alright, so we gotta do a few fights here. I forget the exact number. It's not that many, but it's just how it is. We could be running, I suppose, but... the truth is, I also need some money. I have to fight my Samurai final boss, and it was like 225,000 gold or something. We don't have enough. I spent it on dumb things like crafting and spells. I suppose I could queue up some level 8 charges on the red mage here. Maybe next fight. What level spell do I not... I don't really need level 1 spells that bad. They're okay, but... Let's try to convert level 1 to level 8 so I have those available. Of course not. This is I know there's always comments to like, Blue, why don't you use convert more often? This is really why, because it's kind of a lot of clicks, and if you get interrupted, you don't get to do it anyway. I think these guys are actually weak to water. We tested that out. So, that's Bolt Ore, and pretty good XP and money. Eventually, we'll be able to convert. It's just, the fact that it requires a turn, I don't understand. You should just be able to do it from the menu. If it's... Honestly, I kind of wish... maybe the Red Mage should just use some kind of converted MP system, honestly. Just add up all of his... Because you have that ability, if it's supposed to be kind of a cool bonus for the Red Mage, maybe just give them a total spell slots. Just add them all up, and they can cast any spell from their total. Like, if we instead of had, like, 8 plus 8, whatever, 16, 23, 29, 34, 39... 42 slots, and it just was 42 of any spell, basically. No longer slots limited to spell, because that's kind of what convert does. It just means you can move them around, and like it doesn't really matter. So it's like instead of having to micromanage which level at which point of the game, does it really matter that I can't cast level 1 spells right now? Like, what if I just had 40 slots and I could just, if I want to cast Curse 40 times, let me. I already can do that. It just is a pain in the neck right now. So I think if you like the idea of this conversion skill, I guess like part of the idea is like you can cast spells of a level that you normally don't even have a slot in, which is cool. So you could just like once you're promoted, this is actually one of the ones I don't think you need to be unpromoted. Like a Red Mage doesn't need it, but a Red Wizard, this is a good skill, but it should just be a trait, I think. And it just means you just have a magic pool, and then you don't have to mess around, right? Like, get the same basic effect, but less hassle. I don't think that would be too overpowered or anything. I really don't. I think that's a small buff that just quality of life, basically. I know my balancing sensibilities are obviously different than the developer of Renaissance, but I generally prioritize convenience and like click efficiency, like easy to use, probably a little bit higher. Having to do a lot of menu interactions and remember and rebuff and do the same things over and over again tends to not interest me very much. So, Power Staff, Aqua Blast. So, anyway, that's just things like that. As I've been playing more and more, I've been trying to think of like relatively simple ways. Like, I don't want to rewrite every single creature or every single mechanic, but small changes that maybe could be used to make the game a little better, make some of these classes a little bit more easy to use, a little bit more popular, not necessarily any stronger, because, you know, we're already pretty strong. Okay, hey there, WarMech, you did ambush me. Let's try not to die instantly. I should have healed up maybe a little bit more. We will... You know, if Third Eye gave you cover as well as evade next physical attack, then I would like it. If it gave you, like, aggro, draw the next attack to you and then dodge it, that would be cool. Instead, it's like, use it and maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't. Yeah. Well, let's see how much damage we deal. We just need to win primarily here. We could go for, like, the curse strat. I didn't really go with any casting magic here. Just for double checking. It's been a while since I fought a WarMech and had to think. They do resist everything status-wise, but they don't have any innate resistances. So Curse will do fun stuff, probably. And my plan was actually to throw on either Confuse or the Blink, actually, because then we're not going to get punched. We got him with poison. Oh, wow. Technically bad turn order, but the fighter survives on 2 hit points. I could have gone, maybe Invincible would have, actually this would have been smarter probably. Because, yeah, that would have been smarter. But Blink will keep us alive, assuming we don't get nuked. Yeah, that'll be next, right? We need to get healed up then if I want him to not be dead. My healing abilities are a little bit on the low side. On the other hand, we could try to go for attacking. I could finally do some skills, but I don't know if that's very good. I got him poison. Of all the spells to hit him with, that's so bad. I don't have a lot of healing items, or single target healing is not something we're very good at. It might be better to just... Oh, that's what I wanted to do, too. It might be better... Just poison again. Yeah, well. Fighter got wrecked there a little bit. If I had... Instead of going... I think Blink was still the right play. The WarMech just... He focus fired, attack, and then nuclear. There's not much we could do with this party, so... that's fine. Let's... Oh, no! Limit, it still spends a turn? I thought it would be use the limit and then immediately start doing weapon skills. Aww. Why? It's so... They're so useless. I should have just been hasting from the beginning. But yeah, theoretically I had heal. Yeah, I could have tried to heal. I don't actually think WarMech is weak to lightning as much as he is a machine. So I guess do some missiles. 240. That's a little bit. Yeah, as if it matters. The hasted fighter does 1,000, and yeah, of course. Well, at least we got to put on our WarMech suit. I still should have gone, instead of doing Cure 2 on the fighter, I still should have used his limit, and he would have lived. Because he would have been invincible. I just never think of it like that. But, yeah, technically speaking... Oh, no, never mind. All melee damage. It wouldn't have worked on nuclear. So healing was still the right play. But I should have done invincible on turn 1 instead of ruse. And then I would have dodged... I would have taken 0 damage from the hit that dropped me to 2 HP. And then after that, we would have been blinked and we just need a little bit... Yeah, I could have played that a little better, but... It's a pretty niche case. It's not a common problem to have. But hey. We did get the schematic. I will look at that in just a second. Unfortunately, we have to reorder everybody. What am I doing? What am I doing? It's all out of control. Okay. So, WarMech. So we've... It is a bit weird that we have a limit that makes Magitech armor that's totally not a mech. So you can turn yourself into a WarMech, technically, with a limit. Or you can deploy an automated WarMech for 12 wires, 10 bolts, 1 lens, 4 cells, 4 tubes, 4 spikes, 2 chains, 1 core, and 10 silver. I mean, it's a lot of money overall, but the core is the most expensive at 1,000. I don't know, this is maybe like 2,000 or 3,000 gold worth of equipment, maybe. Depends on how you want to calculate it. Probably say 3,000 gold to build a WarMech. But the problem is it's consumable, so I have to just keep spamming it. I don't know. It has to be pretty darn good to use it once. Options. BlueMech. I mean, obviously the best one. No nuclear. Yeah, we're anti-nukes, of course. We're all about peace and defense. That sounds useless, unless it has a taunt. No attack, no nuclear, just defense. I don't know what the... Again, like, I don't know how the enemy's targeting works. AoEs will hit you anyway, probably. But Usually the fighter takes 50, like the top slot takes 50% of attacks, the second slot takes 25%, and the bottom two take 12.5%. What does this count as? Because if it's the same as your engineer, it's going to be 12%, or less even, now there's 5 targets. That seems, unless it has a taunt ability, that seems real bad. Defense minus 50. Stun attack, no nuclear. That's bad. Stun touch is nice. Stun is not paralyzed. Stun is only for 1 turn. And nuclear is probably its best ability. Red WarMech. Okay, the evil mech. Can only use nuclear? What's the point? If a normal WarMech can use nuclear, why would I go 250 hit points instead of 1,000 hit points, lose my attack, and then just use... I don't understand why you would ever do that. Are they cheaper to make or something? Not really. I think it's about the same, except you add fire ore. I don't know. Sometimes the design, the balance is a bit beyond me. Let's try a regular WarMech. I do need more money, so let's go fight some vampires or something. I'm gonna have to basically throw the fight and not attack, because I need to see if the WarMech is any good. So, if I do a hard... It doesn't really matter, but I just want to test them out. So if I get a vampire battle, we'll get some idea. Of course we got 2. I want like 5 so I can nuclear them and get a good feel for it. It should be the same skill the blue mage gets at high levels, I would expect. Anyway, we don't want to kill them. We can do some invis-2ing, I guess. Alright, let's go... The menu inputs just destroyed me there. Great. Alright, stop attacking. A little bit of lag, too, is kind of weird. Summon WarMech. So you spend a turn, which is already not great. Oh, Iron Ast. Oops. So you don't even control it. It just attacks randomly? And it doesn't come back? I kind of understand if it gets destroyed, you might lose it. That's terrible. Right? And try again. I don't want to have to repeatedly build them. I'm just going to reset. What? When would that ever be good? You lose a turn, and we generally win on turn 1, right? And even if you're fighting a boss... Oh, I keep using this instead. Keep accidentally killing all my enemies. Even if you were fighting a boss, you probably don't want to do that on turn 1 because you want to use, like, Blink or some disable, like, Confuse. If you can confuse the boss, or give your whole party evasion... or just kill the boss. Those are all better than doing nothing for a turn. I mean, yeah, it hits pretty hard, but not as hard as we hit, right? Like, if we're doing 500 to 1,000 damage, he's still only doing a couple hundred. He's not even using his nuclear, right? Like, what is this? It's cool, It looks neat. I don't know how much difficult... I don't know how hard that would be to program. It is possible this was a ton of work to get a friendly WarMech. The theme is neat, but... Oh, he does use nuclear sometimes. 98 damage. Of course it's not buffed by your intelligence or anything. Does that mean it's not actually affected by the equipping the, It actually, because it's a separate entity, it might not even get the boost from the Master Hammer. Because it seems to be doing, I assume, pretty close to vanilla WarMech stuff. 2 big hits, the occasional nuclear. I didn't see any enemies targeted either. So if you're trying to do defensive WarMech... Aww. I don't know if I'm missing something, but this seems pretty poor. I want to try out one more, because I did build a red mech, right? Maybe it only uses... I want more than a single or 2 vampires. Redesign, WarMech, red mech. Make sure I've got 1. Save. Try to get a large-ish encounter to test it out. Let's go a little bit. I want a few to see if nuclear is better on red mech. Sure, this is good. Don't kill them accidentally. So this is low HP. Maybe it doesn't attack as often or something. Maybe I should summon the blue one just because it will look cool. Oh, they did get attacked. Okay, nuclear right off the bat. Okay. Okay, the red one might be better. If it just spams nuclear, you still lose it as soon as... Why? Why do you lose it even if it doesn't die? That doesn't make sense to me at all. Alright, well... I'm gonna build a blue one. Maybe the blue one will have taunt or something, right? They use a lot of resources, so you could build 9 of each and have sort of infinite of them again going into a final dungeon, but I don't know. I'm trying to give these guys a good chance. All right. 4 is good enough. So we want blue mech. Should look good, right? It'll be the best one. Nice. Nice color scheme. Okay, now keep track. What I want to see is how often it gets hit. Because this guy is supposed to be the defensive one. He doesn't do much damage. Miss. That's us. Miss. 2. So far, 4 attacks on the party, 0 attacks on the blue mech. 1. Okay, there's 1 on the 2. So that's 2 out of 8, I believe. 3. Uh, 3 out of 11. I think it's starting to kill them. Miss on somebody. Vampires are missing, so it's hard to tell who they're targeting. 4 for sure on the WarMech. Ah! Okay, they do seem to be prioritizing it more than I initially thought. And it does do some damage. I mean, the fights never go on this long, really, so it doesn't... In practical purposes, this almost will never matter. But... I don't know, maybe it's like 50% of the attacks go towards it or something like that. And then the party gets the rest of them spread out. Maybe. Either way, the fact that you lose them sucks. So, I will say, after a very small amount of testing, basic WarMech, dumb. Defensive WarMech does seem to taunt some amount. Maybe. I don't think yellow will be any good. Although maybe you can stun bosses with it, I don't know. I guess if it just attacks and stuns every turn, they are basically stun locked if just one enemy. Maybe they're all potentially useful, but like, why do I have to manually craft them? If they die, I could see rebuilding them, but come on, right? And unfortunately for them, the truth is, why would you spend a turn summoning that when you could just cast a spell that kills everything? You know, the engineer's turn, like, it's a turn where you're not attacking. And I think even if I was just holding attack with the other 3 party members, most groups are dead or half dead by the time the WarMech is summoned. And if you use your resources by casting spells and stuff, it's even easier to kill everything. So, I don't know. I mean, maybe the problem is just that the game is a little bit too easy. So a lot of these abilities are like, cool, but they're not very practical because you don't, there's never really a time in a normal run where I think that's the right choice. And maybe I get a little bit too much stuck in like optimization or whatever, both time efficiency and like action economy, because maybe that's just how my brain works. But like, why would you summon a WarMech on this fight? If I cared, I could have used a bigger spell and killed them all in one turn. If I just want to hold A and attack, that will kill everything in 2 turns. And I don't have to rebuild a WarMech every time, every combat, right? Like, they must be mostly just focused on boss fights, I guess. And in terms of action economy, if the fight goes long enough, you know, you spend 1 turn to summon it, and then for the rest of the battle until it dies, it's there tanking some hits, doing a little bit of extra damage, maybe nuclear, maybe stun. Those aren't, like, worthless. It's more just, I'm gonna get a little bit more money just in case. The vampires are pretty efficient for getting money. And I'm still thinking about WarMech. A very cool idea. Practicality a little bit low, maybe. I think it's really the fact that it's a lot of resources, and I don't want to have to continuously buy those and farm whichever ore you need to have a consumable spell, basically, that's... Is it as good as casting Nuke or Nuclear? Probably not. If you had a Blue Mage or a Black Mage. So... I mean, again, on New Game Plus, you know, enemies get a lot of HP. If the fights are going longer, stuff like that gets better. But... I mean, I think you'd base... The time where that will be good will be like a solo engineer. Or if the engineer is your primary damage dealer and everybody else is support for some reason. So if you do like Green Mage, White Mage, Bard or something, I don't know why. But then you have an engineer. And the engineer is the one that has to kill stuff because nobody else can. Sure, those kinds of skills are a little bit stronger when you're the only damage dealer. Spending a turn to charge up, because you can't kill the enemy group in 1 turn with a very specific party composition. But most balanced groups, and not trying to be optimal, in fact, but just most somewhat balanced groups, you've got usually 1 or 2 damage dealer front row characters, and then 1 or 2 spell support type characters. That's just sort of your standard 4-man JRPG team, right? as long as you've got 2 or 3 damage dealers, which I think is pretty standard, you're generally just better killing stuff on turn 1, right? Rather than planning for a long battle. Even if the enemies have double HP. Like, I think if we ever get a New Game Plus Plus or an actual challenge mode, what needs to change is enemies and bosses need way more HP, maybe a little bit more armor or magic defense in general, more resistances to stun lock, like the things that really trivialize the bosses when you can just paralyze them and stuff. And not that they need more, the enemies don't need damage necessarily, they just need to survive longer. Maybe counterattacks, stuff like that, to slow you down so you can't just burn them. The ability to have reflect on themselves, or like auto blink, stuff like that. Like basically giving them more survivability options, and then you have to get around them. You need, like, if the bosses become more puzzles that need a solution rather than just HP pools you need to whittle down, some of these new skills would probably have a better rating in my book, basically, because right now damage is king, and it has been king in Final Fantasy since Final Fantasy 1, and it, other than a few situations where there's been some cool status spells that work pretty good, for the most part, all the Final Fantasies I'm familiar with, damage is what matters. You know what's really cool in Final Fantasy VI? Casting Ultima twice per turn with X Magic or Economizer or whatever, right? That's pretty awesome. You just do 99999 damage times 2 to all enemies and win every single battle, including the final one. You know what's really good in Final Fantasy VII? Boosting your magic stat and summoning Knights of the Round twice and doing ungodly numbers of damage. That's how you win, right? And in Final Fantasy VII, there's a boss with 1,000,000 hit points. It does take a couple turns to kill him, but you're not, like, paralyzing him or anything, right? There's some mechanics, but it's mostly damage. I guess Ruby Weapon's the closest to a puzzle boss. But anyway, that's just kind of trying to think of how to make Renaissance and the FF1 system kind of... See, I didn't... Like, Fire 2 was a waste. I should just attack, you know? Our part of it is the melee damage does scale so much heavily... Like, the intelligence boosting magic damage has made a difference. It has made black mages and blue mages pretty strong. Definitely even better than they were in the NES. For spell damage purposes. Like, sweepers weren't bad in the base game, but they are definitely powered up in Renaissance. But they can't really keep up with melee attacks, you know? And yes, the Excalibur and the Katana are, like, the 2 best weapons outside of Massa. It's not a huge surprise that these guys are slaughtering everything. But even the Red Mage and the Engineer hit pretty darn hard. So it's not like, you know, they're falling behind. Anyway, we have another surprise boss here. Let's go. I have to double check my quest. Oh yeah, I forgot to do my WarMech quest. I can't keep forgetting that. While I'm here, I can go talk to the robot here. I just think I have to talk to all the robots or something like that. Maybe I should talk to the quest giver back in Canary or something, actually. But it's one of those times where you have to have the engineer as the lead character and talk to them. So if you're just playing casually, it's really easy to miss. Like, really, really easy to skip out on. But we're kind of in a situation where by the time I grinded enough materials and money to build all the engineer stuff, we're high enough level that it's not very useful. If you're trying to do like a low-level challenge run, some of these other tricks also... Like, there are ways of making challenges where these alternate tools are, you know, more use. 250 is actually more expensive than last time. Thanks, you upped the price. Yojimbo, that's the name from the FF10 summon. Cool. Did I, Yeah, I turned the battle... I'm gonna turn that down a little bit more so I can see. I don't even know. I assume he just has all the samurai skills. I don't know how difficult this fight will be by any means. I think we defense up. We get some TP via attacking. We Would have been nice maybe to have curse or something. I mean, so far they've all been undead. I could put anti-rub on to give stats protection to the fighter. That's been kind of my big boss fight plan. And I want blink. I think blink is really good. Evasion slash. What? Okay, so we have one of these Gilgamesh-style bosses that just does a whole bunch of stuff altogether. Great! Too bad I don't have a white mage. Well, we'll finish defend upping. I did get a bunch of TP. I don't know if this is worth it, but sure. Well, I can't cast fast anymore because Red Mage got destroyed by something. Even though I had Blink on first, it didn't seem to matter. Tanky? So he used Meditate, kind of wasted a turn. I guess he must have done like a skill chain. So if we attack him, he gets more TP. Funny. So I used my limit. I could also meditate. I don't know. I don't think that's very good. Fighter's just gonna get killed here if I'm not careful. I bet you he's immune to confusion. Let's find out. Wait, what? I don't understand why that didn't do anything. It's kind of a mystery. Maybe I should just war cry and... Sure, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. 3 times, whatever that is. See if that does anything. Maybe I'll blink again. It does seem to be helping. 240, 72, 150, 169. Okay, I mean, it's... I mean, it killed him. It's, wasn't a crazy amount of damage. I think fast plus just attacking would have been better, but I don't think that guy was all that tough. We learned a new limit. Well, first I want to see the stats on this guy. 1,500 hit points, 50 absorb. Yeah, 1 strong attack with more crits would probably have done more. He does innately resist confusion, KO, poison, petrify, paralysis, slow. So there's not a lot of statuses you could hit him with. Maybe silence. I'm not sure if that would work on the special attacks. He does naturally resist, I think, all normal elements. Excalibur will do bonus damage because he's undead. Let's see, 100 to 200. He's pretty strong. I guess he tries to charge up those weapon skills. So if you know what those weapon skills do, Slash, Whistler Arrow, Momentum, and the limit, you could probably figure out a counter to him. He definitely did a lot of damage once. And then he did a dumb skill that wasted his turn, and then he died. Which is kind of how I feel about that skill myself. Yeah, I do think Meditate is just a waste of a turn. And Third Eye is mostly a waste of a turn. And Sekinoki is also mostly a waste of a turn. So if he's using those, he's definitely just wasting his time. But now we have 2 limits? So this Maikyo thing, it does waste a turn to get more skills at once. I'm not sure if that's very often better than, you know, attacking and then using your skills and then attacking and then using a skill. Like, you get more skills in a single go, but you're not attacking. And your attack is very strong. So, unless you can limit and skill at the same time, like how the dancer thing worked. And then Yagasumi? Evade all... Oh, he must have had this on. Evade all special attacks. That's how he dodged the... I was trying to figure out how he dodged the Noise Blaster. Evade special attacks for 3 turns. Increase TP by 100 for each special attack evaded. First strike. Non-basic attacks. Skills. Oh, so my tools are non-basic, non-spells. So this doesn't work if you just attack them or cast spells. So if you have a vanilla party... So this is... This would have countered my own samurai using weapon skills, right? If I just attacked them... If on turn 1 I cast fast, I cast temper, I attack, we probably could have killed him. This thing wouldn't have even stopped it. And if you just hit him with nuke or something. Man, that nerfs the skills even more. I mean, only against that fight, specifically. Now, for our purposes, what is this good? Some bosses use a lot of skills. Like Tiamat, it's all skills, right? She doesn't have any spells. Chaos has a bunch of skills, but they're just damage for the most part. I mean, crack and stuff, but you're just getting, like, maybe 100 TP per turn if you're lucky from auto-dodging skill attacks. It would stop trance, you know, stuff like that. Neither of these are impressing, and there's still limits, so it's once per dungeon. I mean, it's okay. I don't know. Unfortunately, my wizard is dead, so I can't exit out, which is half the plan there. Let's try not to GG here. I am going to go talk to the robot. I said I would. We get to test our running skills, finally. This Let's Play has gone on way longer than normal because we are not running from all battles like normal. I'm fighting them out, and it definitely slows the progression down. Come on, walk right in front. Yeah. Oh, try again. Come on. Come on. Come on. Yeah. Those tools. Could it be, Master? Learn the drink command. So these are like... These are crazy niche. They only matter while you're using your limit. You're once per dungeon. Or twice with a red mage, if you want. I mean, being able to use the drink command is mostly completely inconsequential. I wouldn't have even thought you couldn't use the drink command because it's so worthless that limiting it after you limit, I don't understand why that would ever matter, but okay. We have undone one of the most pointless limit nerfs I've ever heard of. What a side quest. I guess we could check how many more we have. Oh, I'm gonna go fly back to Canaria because the quest giver is there, and in theory, I don't know if there was anything hinted at about talking to all the robots. I'm not sure exactly where I heard that from. There's definitely been some spoilers in the comments, and if you're just casually keeping an eye on the Discord, I think there's... Maybe it was like someone asked, like, how to unlock all that or something, and someone's just like, oh, talk to the robots. Something I just heard, like, in passing, trying to avoid spoilers, maybe, is why I thought of that. I don't know. I can't explain it. It's probably some information I parsed weeks ago. Okay, let's... Because I'm pretty sure the wording on the Canaria quest was just, you know, go fight a WarMech. And I think originally I thought that they were the same thing, right? Like, in my head, I didn't realize that you had a tool to summon a WarMech and a skill to be a WarMech that needs to be upgraded. So I didn't exactly figure that out. The ancient sky people were known for their brilliance. Said that the greatest creation, the WarMech, still roams. Yeah. So does that mean there's no direct in-game hint that you have to talk to the robots? Someone somewhere must tell you, right? We did the Super Samurai battle. I bought the red magic. I'm not going to throw away the Excalibur. Why would... That's so dumb. I don't know what they were thinking when they're like, yeah, just give away your best sword and your best shield to get a shield that's sort of makes you better at cover a little. This doesn't make sense. Where am I going? Robots. We need... There must be 2 more that I didn't talk to with the engineer. So I think I talked to the ones... The one by the gate, the cube gate, and the one by the... whatever it's called, the portal that looks down. I guess there's one on the first floor, and then there's a wandering one on the second floor. Maybe I missed that. I also think 25 TP per hit on the samurai is too little. Are you the master? No, I am the master. My happiness cannot be computed. Alright. All that for a limit, huh? I mean, it's a cool idea of making your limit stronger. I think it just further reinforces my idea that limits need to recharge in a more sane method rather than going back to an inn. Obviously, if you have a time mage, you have infinite limits, but everybody else has to save them for the boss, basically. Oh, we're noticeably slow again. You guys can handle some 7 here while I'm just traveling around, right? Lightning 3, 428 damage. Yeah, that red mage does have 78 intelligence, by the way. That's definitely a record for me. I think I have to make a blue mage with an engineer, because I think the blue mage has a higher intelligence growth than a red mage. I can look it up, but I think it's near... It might even be 100% intelligence growth. And that might mean they can go over 100 intelligence with the plus 50. Assuming they can equip it anyway, but that would be awesome. The best mage. Truly. Alright. Unfortunately, our levels our XP is split up now. These old photoreceptors aren't what they used to be. Alright, so we now have, I think, all the stuff. Okay. And I did destroy my blue WarMech, of course, because they just self-destruct. At the end of combat, they're known to run away and repopulate the planet, because, of course, we can't control them after we use them for a minute. Noise blasters are worth. Buzzsaws are pretty worth. Okay, I think that's everything other than going to Topher, right? And levels and stuff, if you really want levels. Here, I need to fight. I want to use my WarMech. Sure. You guys just watch. Well, WarMech, you know, Magitech, whatever. So, we specifically unlocked the ability to drink a potion. Absolutely useless. I don't know why you'd ever think that's good. Heal Force. Restore all allies' HP by 25% of their max. So this is something that kind of synergizes with Genji armor. It's one of the only ways to, well, okay, 2 ways. The Green Mage's bubble spell and the Genji armor's HP upping, plus breaking the 999 cap. Although the bubble spell did that too. So, in theory, you could have a character in-game with maybe pushing 2,000 hit points, and then this would heal 500. It's not as good as Cure 4, is it? You only get to use it twice? I assume these are 140 to 280 range, hopefully applied by your intelligence. $170? Okay. I think... Try that one. $140, so resisted, I guess. Nah, the damage is basically worse than his hammer attack. I mean, if an enemy is weak to it, when is this worth using a limit? It gives you some new HP, so it's kind of like a 5th edition 2014 version Druid's Wild Shape, where you turn into a bear or something that has a bunch of hit points, and they're like temporary hit points that you can take, and then it's gone. So it's just 20 times your level. We get 620 hit points for free, basically. I guess if you're doing a solo run, there's probably some value there, but for the cost of a limit, the attacks seem pretty bad. The heal is okay, but not great. Yeah, sure. If enemies are weak to fire, ice, lightning, 160 becomes a base 240. That's like a nuke plus a little extra damage. Like that's not terrible. Our intelligence is pretty solid as an engineer. Okay. Is there anything else I need to do? Obviously, I could try to figure out weapon skills for the... Oh, that's... Because I don't use weapon skills very often, when I do use them, I forget that they force change your equipped weapon. It's not something I usually have to think about. Your weapons don't normally change. So I've probably been doing less damage for a fair while. Oh well, it's not the end of the world, but yeah, that's something that you definitely want to keep track of. Now, I think I'm good. Next, we're already over an hour in. Next episode, we're gonna beat the game. I'm gonna full clear Topher. We're gonna fully explore it, just in case there's some new treasure chests. And then I'm gonna give you guys my final opinion on the 2 new jobs. Well, final. My first run's impression. Because it could change if I do more, like, there's different synergies or different combos. Like, I do think, obviously, having blind instead of blink would work very well with a Dark Knight. And there's definitely some tools that work better with different classes. I don't like that you have to craft them every time you use them. I didn't really use guns very much, to be honest. Maybe one last test, because I don't intend to really go gun build today. Let's just pop down to the first floor of Topher for a second. And just shoot something. The best grind. Yeah, a couple worms. They're like 400 and something hit points, I think. How much can we do? 120, 130? Can you haste it at least? Yeah. It's okay. Depends on what you're fighting. 338 damage. Yeah, because it's an auto crit, it looks like it's just 2 shots. I don't think we had 3 shots. Even though our hit percent's over 64, it didn't matter. So that means we're doing 48 to 96 damage because it's a crit, times 2. So we should be and ignoring armor. So we should be averaging about 150-ish. And then hasted averaging about 300. If you were strength maxing, if you were maxing your strength every level, we'd have an extra probably 5 damage times 2 for the crit. It would increase our average by about 10, at least. Yeah, maybe. Kind of funny that your strength makes you do more damage with guns, but your hit percent doesn't give you more shots. Kind of funny. Yeah, I don't think it's bad. It's better against a bunch of weak enemies with low HP. But at that point, you just cast Lightning 2 or something, right? So, the use case for this is not single target. High armor also, this is a bit more effective against because it pierces, automatically, guaranteed crits. I mean, you could switch between them, right? If you want to shoot stuff or you want to use your tools, it's fine. You can have them both. There's probably a couple other guns I didn't really test very much either, to be fair. Who knows? Anyway, let's call that for this episode, and next time we will beat the game. I thought we would do it today, but I got a little bit tied up on testing WarMech stuff. But yeah, okay, cool. Thanks for watching, folks. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I'll see you next time.